Hi there, Lindsay here. I just wanted to do a quick video on how I conserve my oil painting solvent so that it's not ending up down the drain or in the landfill, and it's saving me money too. So here's what I use for my brush cleaning, and I'm just going to try not to disturb it too much because I've got to have the solvent and the paint separate. This is a Silicol, and what it is a glass jar with a silicone coated metal coil in here, and I wipe my brush against the coil. You'll be able to see it here because it's all the sediment is on the bottom, and that gently cleans my brush. And then all of the gunk from my brush, all the pigment and oils and whatnot, falls down to the bottom, and it makes it so you can use your solvent a lot longer. And so when it's time to change your, well, I can pour off the solvent here. When it's time to change it, you can pour out the pretty much the good stuff, I should say, and you can leave a bunch of the sediment behind. So if you look there, see, there's about I would say about 1/4 of an inch of sediment on the bottom. So typically what I would do is I just dump this into a jar and I'd let it settle out. I might even dump some of the solvent, some of the gunk out as well, like I did here. I dumped it all into this jar, and I don't know if you can really see that gray on the bottom. That is the like the pigment, and the kind of amber liquid on top is the solvent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to pour just the clear stuff out, or the transparent stuff out, and stop when I get to the gunk. And you can see once you've let this set, like the Silicol tub is only sat for a couple days. This pasta jar here has sat for quite a bit longer, so I was able to pour off the solvent really easily. And then when it comes to clean out the gunk, there's a couple things I can do. Probably the easiest thing to do is just to pour a little bit of that solvent back in there. Put the lid on. And I'm going to shake it to get all of that loose pigment going. This is just easier than dragging out the coil and cleaning it that way, which I've done that before too, but it's real messy. Okay, so you can see how it's all kind of brown in there? And now I can just pour that off and let it settle out. And the reason you want to do this is it's just much more efficient to clean your brushes if you don't have all that gunk in there. And I have to do this every few paintings, so if you only paint a couple times a year, you might not need to do it all that often. I'm going to pour a little bit more in there. And that will settle out in that jar. It's going to settle out just fine, and I'll be able to reclaim the solvent. So the key here is what I'm going to end up with eventually is just a jar full of the grime, just that gray. And then that will be able to be, I can leave the lid off, let it dry out, and then dispose of it. And then it doesn't, now look how nice and clean that coil is. That looks pretty good. Pour that in there. This probably seems pretty tedious. You're probably like, why don't you just throw that away and start a new jar? But solvent can be expensive. I use the Chelsea Studio solvent, and it's a little expensive. It's less toxic than Turpentine. You know, I've got kids and pets around. I only paint with real oils downstairs in my studio. From upstairs in my office, I use water mixables. There, that's much clearer this last time. And there you can get a good look at the jar now. See that? You get that metal coil in there. Nice and empty. That's as clean as you need to get it, really. Probably not even that clean. Now I'll just take this leftover solvent and I'm going to pour it right back in there. You really only need to go just beyond the coil to be able to get an effective cleaning tank. And then I'm going to save this jar for this process. So when I need to go through that again, like I'm going to let this settle out, I'll be able to dump the good stuff off of this once it all settles out in a couple of weeks, and I'm ready to clean that again. And I'll do the same thing, and then I'll need to top it off, and I'll show you what I top it off with. Get my jar right over here. And this does have an odor. A lot of people like Gamsol because it has no odor, but I like to know that I've got a thing of solvent open, so I do like to have something that's got a smell. I like the smell of this. It's I'm only going to put just a tiny bit just to kind of show you because I really have plenty of solvent in there. I just put a little bit in there, and it works great. It actually smells kind of like lavender essential oils. Now, you could do this with odorless mineral spirits. You could do this with Gamsol, whatever you like to use, and it's going to save you a lot because, you know, probably half of this will end up being sediment and half will be good solvent. And that way you keep using the good solvent as long as you can. I mean, some will evaporate eventually, and you'll lose a little bit in there, but it's so much better than just dumping out all of the solvent when you're done, for two reasons. For one, it's going in the environment if you just dump it out. And the other one is that you're wasting money. So this saves your money, saves your solvent, and I hope you found this tip helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.